Have you noticed that your ankles look slightly swollen at the end of the day? That your face seems puffier in the morning? Or that you're waking up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom more often than you used to and quietly telling yourself, well, I guess this is just part of getting older. What if I told you that those small changes are not just aging, but early warning signs that your kidneys may already be losing function silently right now? Every single year in the United States, hundreds of thousands of people over the age of 50 experience a gradual decline in kidney function without feeling a single sharp pain, without a dramatic symptom, without any obvious alarm. By the time most people are diagnosed, they have already lost up to 50 or even 60% of their filtering capacity. And here's the part that should concern you. You can lose nearly a quarter of your kidney function before you ever feel something is truly wrong. That means the damage builds quietly month after month, year after year, while you go about your normal life believing everything is fine. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and after more than 2 decades working with patients struggling with metabolic and kidney-related conditions, I can tell you this with certainty: kidney decline is not sudden, it is silent, and it is progressive if you ignore it. But what most people are never told is this early stage decline is not only preventable, it can often be slowed dramatically and in some cases partially reversed if you understand what is actually happening inside your body and act before it's too late. Because here's what's truly happening beneath the surface. After the age of 50, your kidneys naturally lose about 1% of their filtering capacity every year. 1% sounds small, almost harmless, until you realize that over 20 years, that becomes 20%, and most people have no idea it's happening. Your microscopic filters, called glomeruli, begin receiving less blood flow. The tiny vessels that nourish them start to stiffen. Waste products linger longer in your bloodstream. Blood pressure begins creeping upward. And the frightening truth is you won't see this on your face until the damage is already advanced. But here's the part that might surprise you, and this is why I need you to stay with me. The beverages sitting in your own refrigerator right now could either be quietly accelerating that decline or helping restore the very blood flow your kidneys desperately need. Within days, not years, subtle changes can begin to occur. Less swelling, clearer urine, more stable energy, and over the next few weeks, measurable improvements in the markers your doctor tracks every year. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly which drinks truly support kidney microcirculation, which ones are overrated, and which single morning tonic has shown the most promising effects in improving filtration markers in recent clinical research. And if you think drinking more plain water is the whole answer, what I'm about to explain may completely change how you see kidney health. Because the real issue isn't just hydration, it's circulation. And once you understand that difference, you'll never look at your morning routine the same way again. Let's start with the drink that has quietly become one of the most powerful morning rituals for kidney recovery, the Hibiscus plus Beet plus lemon tonic. Not because it's trendy, not because it's detox culture, but because it directly targets the one mechanism most people ignore: microvascular circulation inside the kidneys. Here's what most people get wrong. They think kidney health is about drinking more water, but your kidneys are not just filters sitting in isolation. They are vascular organs packed with tiny capillaries that depend on steady, high-quality blood flow. When that microcirculation slows down, which it naturally does after age 50, your filtration rate drops. Waste lingers, swelling creeps in, energy fades, and the process is so gradual you don't notice it until the lab numbers shift. That's where this tonic changes the game. I had a patient, Robert, 62 years old, who came to me convinced he was just getting older. Mild ankle swelling, slightly elevated blood pressure, creatinine inching upward every year, but still technically within range. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. But when we look closer, his estimated filtration rate had dropped nearly 18% over 6 years. No pain, no crisis, just quiet decline. We added one simple intervention every morning before coffee before breakfast. 2 tablespoons of dried hibiscus steeped in hot water, half a fresh beet blended in, and the juice of 1 lemon taken on an empty stomach. No supplements, no extreme cleanse, just consistency. Here's the science behind why this works. Beets are rich in natural nitrates. Once consumed, those nitrates are converted by oral bacteria and your digestive system into nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for vasodilation. Nitric oxide relaxes and widens blood vessels, including the tiny capillaries feeding your glomeruli, the microscopic filters inside your kidneys. When those vessels dilate, blood flow improves. When blood flow improves, filtration improves. In a 2023 clinical review on dietary nitrates and vascular function, subjects over 55 showed measurable improvements in endothelial function within days of consistent nitrate intake. That's not theory, that's physiology. Hibiscus adds another layer. Rich in anthocyanins and polyphenols, it has been shown in multiple human trials to modestly reduce systolic blood pressure and decrease oxidative stress markers. Lower pressure inside fragile kidney capillaries means less micro damage over time. Lemon contributes citrate, which supports acid-base balance and may reduce the risk of calcium-based kidney stone formation. But the real synergy happens when these ingredients work together: nitrate-driven vasodilation, antioxidant protection, and gentle metabolic support, all in one glass. Now, here's what makes this different from generic healthy drinks you see on social media. Timing matters. This tonic works best on an empty stomach because food slows nitrate absorption and reduces nitric oxide conversion efficiency. Even antibacterial mouthwash used right before drinking it can blunt up to 60 to 70% of nitrate to nitric oxide conversion by killing the oral bacteria responsible for that transformation. Most people don't know that. That small detail can determine whether you see results or not. Within the first week, Robert noticed something subtle. His morning puffiness decreased. His urine appeared clearer. That dull heaviness in his lower back, something he'd never really paid attention to, began to fade. After 4 weeks, his blood pressure had stabilized without medication adjustment. At his next lab panel, his filtration markers had improved enough that his primary physician asked what he had changed. That's the power of restoring circulation instead of just chasing symptoms. But here's the part I need you to think about carefully. This tonic doesn't work because it's detoxing you overnight. It works because it corrects a hidden deficiency in modern diets, the lack of natural nitrates and vascular support compounds that our grandparents used to get from Whole Foods every single day. When circulation returns, your kidneys do what they were designed to do. They don't need magic, they need blood flow. And if you're watching this right now, ask yourself something. Honestly, have you ever tried supporting circulation first, or have you only focused on drinking more water and cutting salt? If this is the first time you're hearing about nitric oxide in relation to kidney health, I want you to type flow in the comments below, because that one word might be the missing piece in your routine. But knowing this alone is not enough. Because while improving microvascular flow in the morning lays the foundation, there is another factor that accelerates kidney decline even faster, and most people are unknowingly triggering it every single afternoon. Now, if the morning tonic restores circulation at the microvascular level, what happens when your kidneys need an immediate boost, when blood flow is already sluggish, and you feel that subtle heaviness building by mid-afternoon? That's where the second intervention becomes powerful: watermelon plus ginger juice, and this one works faster than most people expect. Let me be clear right from the start. This is not about sugary fruit juice. It's about strategic vasodilation combined with gentle anti-inflammatory support. Watermelon is naturally rich in L-citrulline, an amino acid that converts inside your body into L-arginine, which then fuels nitric oxide production. In plain English, it helps your blood vessels relax and widen, including the tiny arteries feeding your kidneys. When those vessels open, filtration pressure stabilizes, and your kidneys can move waste more efficiently instead of straining against narrowed flow. I remember a patient named Linda, 58 years old, who complained of something many people dismiss: that tight feeling in her lower back by late afternoon. Her labs were technically borderline normal, but her estimated GFR had been slowly trending downward for 3 consecutive years. No dramatic red flags, just gradual decline. We introduced a simple protocol: 1.5 cups of fresh watermelon blended with a small slice of fresh ginger, consumed between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Not at night and not combined with heavy meals. Within 10 days, she reported less bloating and noticeably lighter urine color by evening. After 6 weeks, her systolic blood pressure had dropped by 7 points without medication changes. And this isn't anecdotal hype. A 2022 review on L-citrulline supplementation in adults over 50 showed measurable improvements in arterial stiffness and endothelial function. Reduced arterial stiffness means less resistance in the vascular system. Less resistance means less strain on your kidney's filtration units. Add ginger to that equation, and you introduce bioactive compounds like gingerol, which have been shown to reduce inflammatory signaling and oxidative stress markers, two silent accelerators of kidney aging. But here's what most people don't understand. When your renal arteries stiffen even slightly, the pressure dynamics inside the glomeruli shift. Over time, that increased internal pressure damages delicate capillary walls. Think of it like running a garden hose at high pressure through thin mesh filters. Eventually micro tears form. Supporting vasodilation during the day reduces that internal strain before it compounds into long-term damage. That's not detox mythology. That's vascular physiology. Timing matters again. Drinking watermelon juice late at night can increase urination frequency and disrupt sleep, which ironically harms kidney recovery. Afternoon consumption aligns better with natural circadian blood pressure rhythms. And no added sugar that defeats the entire metabolic benefit. Keep it simple. Fresh fruit, small ginger slice, no syrups. Now I want you to pause and reflect honestly. Do you experience that midday energy dip, that mild swelling in your fingers when you remove your ring, that subtle back tightness you've been blaming on posture? If any of that sounds familiar, type afternoon in the comments. Because recognizing patterns is the first step toward interrupting them. Here's the viral truth most channels won't tell you. Kidney decline isn't just about what you drink in the morning. It's about how you support circulation throughout the day before microdamage accumulates. And while watermelon plus ginger can rapidly improve flow, there is another layer of protection. Your kidneys desperately need something that works deeper at the level of oxidative stress inside the filtration barrier itself. But simply knowing how to increase blood flow isn't enough, because there's a second mechanism silently wearing down your kidneys that most people never address. And that's exactly where the next tonic becomes critical. If boosting circulation in the morning and afternoon helps your kidneys move blood more efficiently, the next question becomes deeper: what protects the filtration barrier itself from microscopic damage over time? Because improved flow means nothing if oxidative stress is quietly eroding the very membrane responsible for filtering your blood. That's where the third tonic becomes critical: parsley plus lemon plus ginger, and this one works at the cellular level. Let me explain something most people never hear from their doctor. Inside each kidney are nearly 1 million glomeruli, microscopic filtration units, wrapped in delicate capillary networks. These structures are incredibly efficient, but they are also vulnerable to oxidative stress, especially after age 50. High blood sugar spikes, chronic inflammation, and environmental toxins generate reactive oxygen species that slowly weaken the filtration barrier. The result: protein leakage, subtle creatinine elevation, and progressive decline that feels invisible until it isn't. I had a patient named Maria, 64, whose lab work showed early microalbuminuria, a small but significant leakage of protein into the urine. She felt fine, no pain, no dramatic symptoms. But that tiny shift in protein levels was an early warning sign of glomerular stress. Instead of jumping immediately to aggressive intervention, we focused first on reducing oxidative load. Every other morning, she began drinking a tonic made from fresh parsley, the juice of 1 lemon, and a small slice of ginger steeped in warm water. No added sweeteners, no commercial powders. Here's why this matters scientifically. Parsley contains apigenin and flavonoids shown in experimental studies to reduce oxidative injury in renal tissue. Lemon provides vitamin C and citrate, which support antioxidant defense and acid-base balance. Ginger once again contributes gingerols that help modulate inflammatory signaling pathways such as NF-kappa, a key driver in chronic kidney inflammation. When you reduce oxidative signaling, you stabilize the glomerular membrane. And when the membrane stabilizes, protein leakage decreases. A 2021 review on plant-based polyphenols and kidney health found that consistent intake of flavonoid-rich foods correlated with reduced progression of early-stage chronic kidney disease. That doesn't mean parsley alone is a miracle cure. It means reducing oxidative stress is a foundational strategy. Because once oxidative injury begins, it creates a feedback loop. Inflammation increases vascular stiffness reduces perfusion, and reduced perfusion increases oxidative stress again. Breaking that loop is essential. Within 8 weeks, Maria's follow-up labs showed stabilization of her microalbumin levels, not dramatic reversal stabilization. And in kidney health, stabilization is powerful. Slowing progression can mean the difference between maintaining independence and facing dialysis discussions years earlier than expected. But here's where many people make a mistake. They treat antioxidant support as optional, something extra, something secondary. In reality, oxidative stress is one of the silent accelerators of kidney aging. And if you are over 55, especially if you have even mildly elevated blood pressure or blood sugar, you are already at higher risk of this micro damage occurring beneath the surface. So let me ask you directly, have you ever had your urine tested for microalbumin? Most people haven't until something forces them to. If you've never asked your doctor about this marker type, check in the comments, because awareness alone can shift your trajectory. But even reducing oxidative stress and improving circulation together still leaves one critical layer unaddressed: inflammation that extends beyond the kidney and originates from other organs, particularly the liver and immune system. And that deeper systemic inflammation may be the most underestimated driver of kidney decline of all. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there is one more protective layer most people completely overlook. And that final piece may determine whether your kidneys age gracefully or deteriorate faster than you ever expected. If circulation improves blood delivery and antioxidants protect the filtration membrane, there is still one deeper driver that determines how fast kidneys age: chronic systemic inflammation. And this is the layer most people never address until it's too late. That's why the fourth intervention may be the most underestimated of them all. Nettle plus dandelion plus turmeric tea. Not a quick fix, not a viral detox trend, but a slow, strategic anti-inflammatory shield for your kidneys. Here's what happens beneath the surface as we age. Low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, quietly increases year after year. It doesn't feel dramatic. It shows up as slightly higher CRP levels, mild insulin resistance, subtle blood pressure elevation. But inside your kidneys, that persistent inflammatory signaling thickens capillary walls, narrows filtration channels, and accelerates fibrosis. Once fibrosis begins, kidney decline becomes harder to reverse. I worked with a 67-year-old patient named Daniel who had stable but declining kidney function for nearly a decade. His eGFR wasn't catastrophic, but it had dropped steadily about 2% per year. No crisis, just steady erosion. Instead of escalating medication immediately, we focused on lowering systemic inflammation. Each evening, 3 to 4 times per week, he drank a tea made from dried nettle leaf, dandelion root, and a pinch of turmeric with black pepper to enhance curcumin absorption. Now here's why this combination matters scientifically. Nettle leaf has been shown in several phytotherapy studies to reduce inflammatory cytokines and support renal blood flow. Dandelion acts as a gentle diuretic without significantly disturbing potassium balance, when used appropriately, helping reduce fluid retention and metabolic waste load. Turmeric, specifically curcumin, has been widely studied for its ability to inhibit NF-kappa B, one of the central molecular pathways driving chronic inflammation and fibrosis. When you reduce NF-kappa B activation, you reduce the cascade that leads to tissue scarring inside the kidney. A 2022 review examining curcumin's effects in early-stage chronic kidney disease patients noted improvements in inflammatory markers and modest stabilization of filtration rates over time. Again, not magic, stabilization. And in kidney medicine, slowing progression by even 1% per year can translate into years of preserved function. Within 3 months, Daniel's inflammatory markers had dropped, and for the first time in years, his eGFR stopped declining. It didn't skyrocket, it plateaued. And that plateau may have bought him critical time without dialysis discussions, time without escalating interventions. But let me be transparent. This tea is not about instant results. It works gradually because inflammation builds gradually. It requires consistency, 3 to 4 times per week. Evening consumption is ideal because it aligns with the body's natural repair cycle during sleep. And if you're on blood thinners or specific medications, you must consult your physician before starting turmeric in higher amounts. Now, I want you to think carefully. Have you ever measured your CRP? Have you ever been told you have mild inflammation and brushed it off? Because mild inflammation sustained over 10 years is not mild anymore. If you're beginning to see how these layers connect, circulation, oxidative stress, inflammation type layer in the comments. Because kidney protection is never about one miracle drink. It's about stacking protective mechanisms intelligently. And here's the bigger picture that most people miss. Morning circulation support, afternoon flow optimization, cellular antioxidant protection, evening inflammation control. That's not a trend. That's a system. And when you build a system instead of chasing hacks, your kidneys respond differently. But understanding these 4 strategies is still not the final step. Because what ultimately determines whether you preserve kidney function long-term isn't just what you drink. It's whether you implement this consistently enough to interrupt the silent 1% annual decline before it compounds into something far more serious. Before we close, I want you to take a deep breath and hear this clearly. Kidney decline is not a life sentence. It is not something that just happens without influence. What you do every morning, every afternoon, every single day matters more than most people realize. Small, consistent habits restoring circulation, reducing oxidative stress, calming inflammation can shift the trajectory of your kidney health in ways that no emergency intervention ever could. And if you've made it this far in the video, that already tells me something important. You care about your future, and that alone puts you ahead of the curve. If this information helped you see your health differently, I encourage you to save this video so you can revisit these steps and build them into your routine. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because I share evidence-based medical insights every week, practical, realistic strategies you can actually apply to protect your kidneys, your heart, and your long-term independence. And if you know someone over 50 who wakes up at night to use the bathroom, struggles with swelling, or has been told their labs are borderline, share this with them. It could make a difference earlier than they expect. Remember this, your kidneys are incredibly resilient when given the right support. They are not fragile, they are responsive. When you improve blood flow, reduce stress, and nourish your body intentionally, you are not just preventing disease, you are investing in decades of energy, clarity, and freedom. And that future is still very much within your control.